Late developing story today from Bardstown. The third man arrested in connection with the disappearance of Crystal Rogers returned to the courtroom today. Steve Lawson is one of 3 suspects arrested so far, and he's asking for his bond to be reduced. Isaiah Kim Martinez is in Nelson County at the moment. We're going to have more from him in a report coming up in just a few minutes. New information just given out by police, in fact, in the last 30 minutes about this morning's high school shooting in Perry, Iowa. The suspect killed himself, and police say he is a 17-year-old student at the school named Dylan Butler. Police say he also shot and killed a 6th grade student at the middle school. Right now, 5 other gunshot victims are being treated at hospitals, including the principal. Here's ABC's Alex Perche talking with parents of Perry High School, has the latest from that location.
An active shooter situation at Perry High School outside of Des Moines, Iowa this morning.
It was a text message this morning from my daughter, and it was absolutely horrifying.
The active shooter alert went out at 7:37 a.m. on the first day back from winter break, just before the school day started. The first officer arriving within 7 minutes to find multiple victims with gunshot wounds.
The shooter has been identified as 17-year-old Dylan Butler, a student at Perry High School. Butler was armed with a pump-action shotgun and a small caliber handgun. Butler also made a number of social media posts in and around the time of the shooting. Law enforcement is working to secure those pieces of evidence. All evidence thus far suggests that Butler acted alone. There are 6 victims, one of them who is deceased. That individual was a 6th grade student at Perry Middle School.
Jody Kurth says her stepson was in the lunchroom when the gunfire started. She says he was hit in the back and in the arm.
Like, the pain in your heart is just overwhelming. That's one of the worst moments of my entire life, but the best phone call I got was saying that they were okay.
FBI and ATF agents are assisting on the scene as investigators search for motive.
It's impossible to understand why anything like this happens, but again, I want you to know that we'll work tirelessly to get the answers so that we can prevent it from happening again.
Now, as we learn more, one of the things this investigation will center on is a reported social media post that this suspect made and what clue it could give police as to a potential motive. Alex Perche, ABC News, Perry, Iowa.
Perry is a small town in Iowa located about 38 miles northwest of Des Moines with a population of just about 8,000 people. The school district will be closed tomorrow, and ABC's World News Tonight will have more with David Muir on today's shooting coming up at 6:30 right after WHAS 11 News at 6. We turn to more local news at 5. Metro Police arrest a man for sexual assault in southwest Louisville. It's just one case in a string of several that happened near the end of last summer.
Christopher Thompson, the man that you see right here, is accused of the crime in addition to robbery. Today, WHAS 11's Ian Hardwitt and photojournalist Emma Gefter talked to the LMP detectives who worked this case.
Speaking for myself, that's sometimes the most rewarding part of our job, is calling the victim and letting them know that this person's now behind bars and they can sleep well at night.
Detective Eric Goldschmidt made one of those calls Tuesday when LMPD arrested a man accused of sexual assault and robbery. They say the crime was reported on July 23rd and happened after midnight when a woman came home from a night out with her friends.
The suspect approached the vehicle, pointed a gun at her, and demanded that she move over into the passenger seat.
According to the detective, the assaults occurred before and after the woman was forced to withdraw money at an ATM. Christopher Thompson is charged with the crime. He was on probation and out of jail because of a diversion program after being charged with having a stolen firearm and fleeing police.
LMPD said after news outlets told everyone about the danger, the assault stopped. Although the suspect has only been charged in one case at this time, it happened here on Yazoo Street.
It does match the pattern of 6 other incidents in the same part of town. As detectives continue to work those other cases, Goldschmidt encourages victims to report immediately if they've been the victim of a crime. He said DNA testing helped him break this case and that the technology could help others in the future. LMPD does have a victim support unit to help those who come forward. In Louisville, Ian Hardwitt, WHAS 11, on your side.
LMPD told us today that they send their DNA testing off to a private lab so they can avoid wait times with the state lab. But that costs Metro Council $1.9 million each year, and the department says they'll still request more from them soon.
Well, the future of Kentucky. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear giving his plan for the Commonwealth in his statewide address last night, and the first time that he has been speaking right in front of the chambers of both the Republican-controlled legislature since he was sworn into a second term. In his speech last night, the governor said he wants to put Kentucky on a path toward a top 10 economy in the country. He outlined areas that he's proud to see progress, like the first hospital to be built in West Louisville in more than a century, and the electric vehicle battery plants being built in Hardin County. But at the top of his priority list, an 11% pay raise for every Kentucky educator, following the path of neighboring states.
We can choose to beat Indiana or beat up on each other. Our competition to the north and the south are showing us the way.
Republicans control the legislature with a supermajority. Senate President Robert Stivers and House Speaker David Osborne agree Kentucky needs to be more competitive in attracting teachers, but they question Beshear's plan.
I think you're going to see us stop short of mandating raises for particular classes of employees. I believe that those are decisions best made at the local level, and I do think that you will see us again contribute significant funding.
In his speech last night, Beshear also said he wants universal pre-K for every Kentucky 4-year-old, as well as millions of dollars going toward child care and disaster relief for both Western and Eastern Kentucky. The Republicans, though, made it clear afterwards they will not be going for universal pre-K.
1 in 4 Kentuckians struggled to pay for period products every month, but a new bill proposed by Kentucky lawmakers could help that financial burden. Representative Lisa Wilner represents part of Jefferson County. Now, she's proposing a bill that would eliminate taxes on menstrual products, and it goes a step further, hoping to provide period products in Kentucky schools. Kentucky is one of 22 states who still tax those necessary products. Representative Wilner says she was helped by Henry Clay High School student Rosie Katz. She raised $1,000 just so her school could provide free tampons to students. Over the summer, Rosie reached out to her representative to ask for help. Today at the Capitol, Representative Wilner read a statement from Rosie.
Period products should be supplied in school bathrooms just like toilet paper is. I want girls at my school to feel empowered and able to focus on their goals and dreams rather than worrying about finding menstrual hygiene products at school.
Kentucky is one of 22 states that still taxes those necessary products.
Well, just 2 weeks ago right here, we told you about the announcement that the founder of the Parklands of Floyds Fork, Dan Jones, is expanding the parklands by an additional 700 acres, making more land off limits to developers. Meantime, today, residents were invited to the Planning Commission in Louisville to give their comments on a development plan in the area around Floyds Fork. The commission is working on a list of regulations for developers who want to buy land in the area of Floyds Fork, which runs across eastern Jefferson County to Bullitt County. Some of the regulations include lighting limitations requiring planting of native species, and any apartment complexes with 10 or more units must have 30% open green space. Some people believe these regulations don't do enough to protect the wildlife, while developers feel they are boxed in.
Development along Floyds Fork, quite frankly, even right next to us on an existing development, is a travesty, where you could start building 25 feet off the fork, kills all the trees along the fork because it cuts off all the roots, and it's a disaster. So we applaud this work.
What we don't want is a regulation that just in effect stops development. I do want to make that clear here, and I have concerns in how this will actually be used.
You can read the full list of regulations on Louisville's Planning Commission website. Now more on our top story we told you about here at 5. Steve Lawson is one of 3 men charged in connection to Crystal Rogers' death. He was back in the court today for a bond reduction hearing. He's charged with conspiracy to commit murder and tampering with physical evidence in connection to Crystal Rogers' death.
Senior reporter Isaiah Kim Martinez and photojournalist Jessica Farley went to Nelson County this afternoon.
Steve Lawson's attorney maintains his client has been forthcoming with authorities from the very start, and for that reason should not be considered a flight risk and should have his bond reduced. Now, another piece of information revealed in this hearing, Lawson's previous struggles with alcohol all those years ago. It was our first in-person look at Steve Lawson since he was arrested in connection to Crystal Rogers' death. He sat in the courtroom, quiet, mostly looking down. Sitting in the pews watching, Sherry Ballard, at times emotional, her granddaughter Tori, and Crystal's grandfather Till Ballard. In direct comments to the judge, Lawson's attorney, Ted Lavitt, argued his client has fully cooperated with Kentucky State Police, giving them any testimony they've asked for in an agreement to be immune from prosecution.
We stayed until the dinner was ate or eaten. We stayed till it was complete, until they had their time with my client, until they had their way with my client. We stayed until the end every time.
But Special Prosecutor Shane Young telling the judge the $500,000 bond is appropriate given the severity of the charges. Judge Charles Sims will sit on the comments made and decide whether to grant Lavitt's request to reduce Lawson's bond to $20,000.
Probably the next 5 days, okay? Yes.
Only Lavitt answered questions from reporters after the hearing. You had said your client was a person of interest and a target since 2015. Can you reiterate?
Well, that's my understanding. But I can tell you that he has been a target, and because, number one, he was a part-time former employee of the person indicted for murder. And naturally, he would be considered a target.
From the very start.
And a person of interest from the very start.
Lavitt revealed Steve Lawson was badly struggling with alcoholism all those years ago when Crystal went missing. So naturally, he was asked if that could have clouded Lawson's memory when giving his account of what he witnessed from that time. Lavitt's answer coming up here at 6. Isaiah Kim Martinez, WHAS 11 on your side.
Steve Lawson is one of 3 men arrested in connection to the Crystal Rogers death. Steve Lawson's son, Joseph, is facing the same charges, and his next court appearance is set for tomorrow. And Brooks Houck, who was Crystal Rogers' boyfriend when she disappeared, is scheduled to be in court February 8th. He's charged with murder and tampering with physical evidence. He's being held on a $10 million bond.